Welcome, everyone. This is Janice Deloy with OHUG. We have a great session today with David Dougherty from Epicenter talking about Cloud HCM integration. So with that, David, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Janice. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you to everybody for coming along today. I'm really happy to be here presenting for you on taking this session today. For the OHUG community, as we were just talking about before we started the recording, we were exhibiting at Ascend last year. It's great to be a part of this community. So let me introduce myself first up. My name is David Dougherty. As you can tell from my accent, I'm in a very different time zone probably to most of you. I'm based in London in the UK, although I often find myself traveling to all kinds of places with my work I do here at Epicenter. I have an HR technology career. It's coming up for 19 years, I think now, which is a lot longer than I thought it would be. And that includes 11 years in the Oracle Cloud HCM domain, where I've worked on a number of large deployment programs. All of that was prior to joining Epicenter. I joined Epicenter about 4.5 years ago. Now, very simply, at Epicenter, we specialize in Oracle Cloud HCM integration. We don't do Oracle HCM Cloud implementation. We just focus on the integration part. It's a very niche area. Now, you might be wondering why. Well, we'll get into that during this session, and by the end, you'll be left in no doubt as to why we do that and why we think that's so important. In my position as Chief Commercial Officer, I'm responsible for everything related to all of our wonderful customers, and it means I get the opportunity to come and share my thoughts with wonderful people like you as well. Now, I plan to talk for, I think, maybe around 30 or 40 minutes. Let's see how we go. Definitely want to finish before the hour. We all have other meetings to go to, and also the soccer, European Champions League soccer starts at the end of this session for me, and I want to watch that. So let's see how we go, but I definitely want to leave some time for questions at the end. Please use the Q&A function that's there, and we will take those well before the end of the session. Now, as much as I love talking, I do want to make this a little bit interactive as well. So we do also have a few poll questions for you. Now, Zoom poll is a little bit new to me, but hey, I've given it a practice before the session, so let's see how we get on. Primarily, it's just to get to know a little bit about the audience that we have here today. And that will sort of inform some of the content as we go. So I would ask that you all participate as much as possible. So with that, let's see how this works out, and let's start to get to know you guys a little bit. Now, first question is going to be a very, very simple one, just to check and make sure that you guys are all awake. So let me launch this poll, and hopefully you can see that poll. So come on, let's see where your loyalties lie. Are you Team Android, Team iOS, or other? Maybe some of you are still rocking those old bulletproof Nokias from back in the day. Good, excellent polling, guys. Very impressed. Very good. Thank you. Well, that's a pretty conclusive result straight away there. iOS has roundly trounced Android in that poll. So, okay, I know what we're dealing with. I'm on Team iOS as well. Although one thing that does always amaze me in North America is how limited the use of WhatsApp is. Everybody uses iMessage, which in Europe is really not the case. But hey, that's great. All right, that was your test one. That was the easy one. So now we're going to get into ones that are maybe a little bit more relevant. So I'm going to end that one, and we're going to go to the next one. So, which Oracle application do you use? Are you in Oracle Cloud? Are you on one of the other Oracle platforms such as EBS PeopleSoft, or are you on something else? Maybe there's some SAP and Workday users in the room here. Let's see. Let that play out. So we are getting to about 2/3 on Oracle Cloud here, and then a few people on PeopleSoft and a few on EBS as well. I am hoping that that you can see that people can see these results as well. I'm assuming that you can, and Janice, you'll let me know if that's not the case, I'm sure.
So we can just end the poll and then share the results. So let me just do that for you.
Oh, I need to share the results. There you go. Okay, fantastic. All right, hopefully now that's showing. Is that right? We got it now?
Yes, we can see it.
Excellent. All right, So around 2/3 of the people answering the question are on Oracle Cloud HCM. You'll have to take my word for it on the iOS versus Android poll. I could see the results coming in, I promise. All right, let's go back and let's start the next one. Now, next one is how many employees does your organization have in total? This gives me an idea of a kind of size of organization of organizations that we're dealing with here. Most Oracle customers, so I'm assuming there's a level of enterprise here. Let me let a few more people respond to that. And then I'll end the poll and I will share the results. So about 50% of here we've got 5,000 or under, and then we've got a few in larger organizations as well of over 10,000 and even some over 25,000. So that's a really good mix here. Thank you for that. All right, this isn't just an hour of endless polls, I promise, but just a couple more as well. I just want to know where you guys are. I'm based out here in London, so I'm just wondering where all you guys are based. So let me launch this one. Okay, someone else, we have people enjoying their evening in Europe here, and even we have a representation in Asia Pacific I can see coming in. So kudos to you for joining in that region. Let me share those results, but okay, as I was expecting, this is very much most US and in that region. Thank you very much. And then very quickly, I've just got two more in this section, and then I'll promise I'll get into some more content here. So this again helps me understand a little bit about you, which is what's your current payroll system landscape look like? So are you using a single provider where you have a global provider around? Are you using best of breed? Maybe if you operate in multiple countries, are you using a mix of local systems everywhere, or do you have maybe a bit of a blend of the two? Payroll integration, of course, is probably the most common use case for integration with Oracle HCM, and here at Epicenter, that's certainly the most common integration form that we do as well. Right, again, a bit of a mixed bag, quite a few single providers. That may well be the case that it's because we have a lot of people in single country in the US. Let me share those results. And then a bit of a mixed bag of best of breed and hybrid along the way. So again, nice mixed bag there. And then the last one in this section, and then we'll move on, is going to be, oops. How do we, oh wait, do I need to end something here? Nope. Launch. Okay, approximately what percentage of your workforce in HCM is currently automatically integrated with your payroll? This one is always a good question to get a sense for how the levels of automated integration that we have amongst the Oracle HCM community. And this is probably the most relevant question, and this will inform a little bit of what we talk about going forwards. Actually, some pretty high numbers here, which is fantastic. It's actually a little unusual for when we ask this question. All right, I'm going to end it there, and I'll share the results. So here we've got actually almost half of our respondents here have got more than 75% of their population integrated with payroll. That's fantastic. That's much higher than normal. Normally, when we run this kind of poll in other sessions that we've done in person on the internet, the numbers are much lower, and it's typically quite frequently under 50%. So congratulations to you guys. You clearly are doing a great job on integration in many respects. So that's enough of the polls for now. Now I know a little bit about who I have on the call, so we can get into we can get into this a little bit. Now, I said at the top of this call that Epicenter only specializes in integration with Oracle HCM. And why is that? Well, I think there's two statements that I really believe in. And the first of that is that integration is important, right? Data is the gold asset that HR has. it really is. It's what informs, it's the real value that HR can provide to the business is the data and the insights we can get from that data. And it's imperative that that data is synchronized across all the systems that need it. So there's a few reasons here, and we'll just touch on a few of these briefly as to why that integration is important. Now, there's some obvious ones. First one, eliminating dual data maintenance. It's the most obvious one that allows you to reduce costs, reduce mistakes that can be made in data entry. So you get much higher data quality. The data is more timely because it's automatically updated and there's no time lag between that data being synchronized. So this generally forms the main business case for integration. But there are a few other reasons as well as to why integration is important. One of those is security and compliance. You're reducing the eyes that you have on the data. So it's one conversation I was having with an Oracle HCM customer recently, where this was a real point of emphasis, which is they were really keen to eliminate the amount of data that's flying around the organization on spreadsheets, emails, SharePoint sites in human hands, basically. If it's not necessary part of the job, then that data shouldn't really be visible to people. It's these need to know principles, and integration definitely helps increase that security and compliance. It's not always something I hear, but it was really interesting to hear that getting some attention in a recent conversation. Helps you really bed in those HR processes as well. So you spend a lot of time designing and implementing these wonderful HR processes, and integration helps those processes to become embedded in your organization. Why? Because it ensures some consistency. It ensures that the data is being sent where it needs to go, and it means that people aren't taking a different route in that process. So a very easy example is employee data updates are made in core HR. When it's interfaced, it goes down to payroll automatically, and it's not the other way around. Without integration, it's very easy for the payroll to remain or become the de facto primary source of data entry, and Oracle almost becomes the afterthought to the global core HR. It shouldn't be that way around. We want this to work as we've designed it to work. And related into that is the adoption of Oracle HCM, or whichever HR system you have, PeopleSoft or Oracle Cloud, whatever it may be, and then the return on investment you get from that as well. So if you have integration, it means it kind of pushes people, it helps that change management curve, it gets people into the application, make sure they're using it, and it really helps with the ROI. So how much does it cost to buy an Oracle HCM, to implement it and to run it? It's certainly not free, depending on how good you negotiated a deal with Oracle, but you want to get value from that. You want to get the data, the analytics. You want to be driving those business decisions. You want to get the great user experience for your employees where they can get all their data in self-service. It's going to be accurate, it's going to be good. So you don't want that to become that effort to become wasted, which it can do if you don't have the right levels of integration. If you don't have the right levels of integration, then you risk that system becomes an afterthought to your HR and payroll population. So I'll tell you a real world story around that. It's another Oracle customer we speak to, where Oracle is supposed to be their global master. They operate in something like 25 countries around the world, headquartered in Europe. They don't have any integration, or at least not effective integration. So what happens? Basically, local teams retain the payroll system as their master, and they send a file, an Excel file, once a month to the central Oracle team, who pick up that data and they load it into Oracle HCM Cloud. Now, that is not what they purchased Oracle HCM Cloud for, and it's certainly not what they spent their money on trying to achieve. So remember that next time you need budget for any integration projects that you have. So having established that integration is valuable, we also know that it's certainly not the case that we have 100% of people with high integration numbers. Now on this poll, we had almost 50% of our participants with their population 75 to 100% integrated with payroll, as an example. But that means that half of you don't have that. And so why is that? Well, that comes to what I believe is the second kind of true statement that I believe about integration. I believe that integration is hard. It's not easy. Now, how do I know that? Firstly, personal experience. As I'd said to you before, I've had a pretty long career in HR technology, particularly Oracle Cloud. And before joining Epicenter, I worked on and managed a bunch of global Oracle HCM projects where the integration stream became very painful. I'm talking delays, cost overruns, projects, waves being cancelled, etc. All those kind of things, just because of the difficult nature of integration. The second reason how I know, well, that's one of the reasons I joined Epicenter, by the way, is because I felt that this was a real gap in the solution that was important to customers, but wasn't really properly being addressed. Secondly, most of the customers who come to Epicenter come to us because they've struggled with this exact topic. I'd say 9 out of 10 of our customers have tried to manage their integration some other way. They've struggled, not achieved the results they wanted to achieve, and then they've come to us. So I know that struggle is real. And then thirdly, well, whenever I take snap polls like this, like I have done today, the data tends to back that up. You guys are actually a little bit ahead of the curve compared to normal, but you can still see there that that there's a way to go on integration amongst Oracle customers. So I'm here to tell you basically it doesn't really need to be that way. And through the power of Oracle and Epicenter, there is a great solution. And in fact, that's the only reason that Epicenter really exists as it does today. So we're going to get into that. I'm going to let you into some of the, some of the secrets and how we ensure the success of that integration stream. But I want to tell you a little story first, just about something challenging that I did recently, that also kind of has a lowish level of success. Now, one thing you should know about me is that I really love skiing. We're kind of at the end of the season now, but back in March, I went to Italy to ski. So I'm based in Europe, very easy to hop over to Italy. Although I do really like going to the US and Canada for skiing. I'm a big fan of that. That's another webinar for another day. But back in March, I went to Italy. I went to a lovely town called Cormaia, and it's in the shadow of Mont Blanc. Mont Blanc is the tallest mountain in Europe, and it's on the border of Italy and France. Amazing food, wine, as you'd expect in Italy, but good skiing as well. Now, on our last day of the trip, myself and my group of friends, we took a cable car most of the way up the Mont Blanc, and from here you can access a very famous ski descent called the Vallée Blanche, or the White Valley in English. And this takes you all the way down the Mont Blanc Glacier into a town called Chamonix in France. So yes, if you are not too familiar with skiing in Europe, then you can actually ski from Italy into France. It's pretty cool. They don't check your passport on the mountain, but they do check it on the way back, as one unfortunate person on the bus with me found out when they almost didn't get let back into Italy because they didn't have their passport. Now, it's an absolutely beautiful scene from the top of here. This is the view at the top of that run. And this was taken, I should point out, this was taken the day before when the conditions were lovely. Now, on the day that we skied it, that wasn't quite the case. And this isn't a normal ski run. This isn't like being in a ski resort where you've got the piste nicely marked out and you've got machines that make it nice and smooth. This is an off-piste descent. And there's a whole bunch of things that you can experience. Now, we experienced all of these. So variable snow from very deep powder, which is lovely at the top, to ice and everything in between. High winds, zero visibility. So you got the snow kicking up off the mountain. You can't even see more than 2 feet in front of you. Lots of hidden rocks everywhere. So you got to be careful you don't trash your skis. Avalanche risk. We're all wearing avalanche equipment and then safety briefings, etc. as well, because there's always a risk on in the kind of weather we had where it's kind of warm a little bit in the week leading up to it. And then most importantly of all, they have hidden crevasses. Now, these crevasses, which you kind of see from the photo where they are, but you can't see the holes because I'm pointing up the hill here. But if you fall down those crevasses, basically you have a real problem and there's a pretty serious risk of injury or death if you're not careful. So how do you overcome that kind of scenario? Well, we don't know how to get down there, but our guide did. So you get a guide. This is Luca, Italian guide. Basically, he lives in the mountains. And having a guide like Luca is mandatory when you're doing this run, the Vallée Blanche. Now, he has years of experience. He lives in the mountains every day. This is all he does. He skis this exact route every week. So he can see the weather changes. He can see the snow conditions. He knows whether the snow's good. He knows whether the snow's bad. And really importantly, he knows where the big holes in the mountain are that you don't want to fall down. So he can help you plot a route around it. So without a guide like Luca, there's a huge risk because there's so many challenges, so many obstacles. There's a real risk of kind of failing and struggling on the way down. But when you have a guide like Luca, it eliminates pretty much almost all of the main risks. So it simplifies that descent and basically takes away the main challenge. Now, what you're thinking right now is probably, great, nice story, Dave. You had a great skiing vacation, but How does this relate back to Oracle Cloud HCM integration? Well, very easy, really. And maybe this says a lot about me and how I think, but I really managed to connect the two here after my ski holiday when I came back to work. Because integration is hard, and most companies struggle with it. So each integration project you conduct will have its own challenges. And these are most obvious with payroll integration probably. So I'll probably mention payroll a lot, but it can apply to any integration really. And the first of these is technical complexity. So you have a data model in Oracle that stores data in a particular way, and you have another system over here, and that stores data in a different way. Now, these data models can be very different, and that's what creates most of the technical complexity, because you have to make the data here talk to and be understood by something over here. It's like translating from English into Italian. And that can involve a lot of complex coding, mapping, different rules, how dates are managed, even between PeopleSoft and Oracle Cloud HCM, the way that dates are managed are a little bit different. So there's always a lot of challenges there. Next one, vendor engagement. When you're dealing with integration, you are likely dealing with lots of vendors. These could be payroll vendors, they can be benefits vendors, it can be a talent system, a recruiting system, can be time systems like Kronos, it can be finance tools, anything that needs that employee data. But that means you may be dealing with a number of different vendors, and vendors are really important in this process. So they need to participate in all the phases from design to deploy, they need to provide test environments, etc. They really need to be engaged in this process. If you don't have them engaged early on, you're already setting yourself up to struggle as you get later on in the project. Data quality. An integration is only as good as the data it processes. So that relies on good quality of data in your Oracle HCM system, also relies on good quality of data in that target system as well. Global versus local. Now, some of you may be single country US organizations of varying sizes, but some of you may have international branches as well. And here, then you start getting a bit of a trade-off. So when it comes to your Oracle HCM, you want to have standardized global processes, standard data model. But when it comes to payroll, it's incredibly local. So each country will have its own rules that influence an interface, and each country will have its own rules when it comes to the interface. They have their own data points as well, sort of local legislative data that Oracle may or may not support, depending on the country. And again, the payroll provider may manage that in a different way. Also, you have single payroll providers. Now, many of you use a single payroll provider, and some of those of you that use single payroll providers may operate in multiple countries. Then you may already have discovered that even if you have a single payroll provider, it's not necessarily the same system in every country. And it's certainly not the same integration. Even if you have, let me use a great example, ADP Global View, right? Very popular payroll system. It's available in all countries around the world, but it's different in each country. It's based on SAP. SAP has different info types in the UK, in the US, in Canada, in Italy, in France, in Singapore, wherever it may be. So there's always a real big challenge there. Maintenance. Now, it's very easy to get excited about building a nice complex interface, but whatever you develop and deploy, you have to live with that for several years afterwards. So you got to think about that when you're building something. You could build the most wonderful thing, but someone has to know how to maintain it. It's no good if one person knows how it works and then they leave at the end of the project. So who's going to do that? Where are they located? How much do they cost? How complex is that solution to support? Can that be done by your existing in-house team? Do you need specific skills, expert skills to bring into the organization to be able to do it? All really good questions, and it's something just to bear in mind as we go through the rest of this session. Unpredictable costs. So firstly, implementation costs are at risk of spiraling out of control if you don't address some of these challenges appropriately, but also so can the run costs. So one of the most common things we hear is from companies that use other providers. Maybe they use Oracle Integration Cloud, maybe they use Boomi or MuleSoft, something like that, where you're charged for the data that you use. And they come to us and they say, okay, one of the problems we have is we don't know how much we have to pay to run our integrations because we don't know what that data volume is going to look like. Maybe that sounds familiar to one or two of you, I don't know, but This is something we've been hearing a lot at the moment. And I always think that's a little bit like using your cell phone when you go on vacation. Maybe 10 years ago, when roaming charges were a thing, or more of a thing than they are today, and you don't know how much data your iPhone is using in the background when you're traveling around Vietnam or something, or Italy, and you don't know what your bill is going to be like when you get home. So all of these things kind of transpire to mean that there's a real risk to successful delivery, to timeline, to budget, and that's a pretty accurate picture of my balance when I'm skiing down a run like this. But there's a real risk to that successful delivery, and this is where I kind of want to then turn back to you guys again and see if you have some further input for me. So we're going to go back to the next poll. And this one is a free text poll, so please feel free to add in what you like here. I want to know just from you, maybe some of those things I just said resonate, but maybe you have some other ones that you'd like to add to the mix. So please, what are the main challenges that you have faced, or maybe that you expect to face when implementing an interface? And I'll give you a little bit of time to type away there. And hopefully somewhere I can see the results of this, but I'll give you a bit of time to do that. Maybe while I wait for some people to do, I can give you a rundown on my recommendations of restaurants in Cornwall, should you ever go there. Maybe I'll add them to the slide deck afterwards.
I just want to know if we can get Luca to work on our integration projects.
I can tell you that Luca would be very surprised if he knew that he was being talked about to an audience of people in America right now. I do want his lifestyle, I have to say. This guy spends all of his days in the mountains, and I can certainly see the appeal of that.
It does sound amazing.
All right, we're getting a bunch of responses in, but I'm loath to sort of end the poll too soon here, and I can't really see when people are typing. So let's just give people another 30 seconds or so.
Yeah, we still have people answering, so maybe give them a minute.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So we'll leave that. I'll take a sip of water and while people are answering that, getting their thinking caps on. And then I'll dive into a couple of those, and then we can talk a bit more about Luca and how you can leverage Luca. All right, I think I see a bit of a pause. So let's go and see if I can see some of these results. Now I can't see those, which is really helpful.
Maybe if you click on view details. This is the first time we've done a narrative type question. Do you see the view details?
I don't.
Let me try clicking on it and see. Yeah, go ahead and click. Well, can you see? It's showing on my screen. I don't know if the others can see it.
I can't see it. All I can see is that
okay, well, I can read them. I can read them off to you if you like.
Yeah, please do. That would be great.
Okay. Data mapping between source and destination.
Yep.
Data integrity, data manipulation, and error reporting. Yeah. Different local rules and different data models.
Yep.
Overly customizations, third-party systems. Outdated methodology. Assignment changes that cause errors on upload.
Yeah.
Finding thorough documentation on the technology.
Yeah,
various vendor requirements, target systems, and resources. Roles and responsibilities mapping, functional knowledge.
Yeah.
Unpredictable cost.
Yeah, there you go.
Connection, and a couple more here. Vendor requirements and file layouts, and data requirements between systems.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. That's great. Thank you, Janice, and thank you to everyone for adding those suggestions. So a few things in there that were covered, things like data models, but it did trigger something. There's someone mentioned assignments as well, and that's a really common one. So Oracle HCM has this model where you can create multiple work relationships or multiple assignments, and that's great in Oracle, but there are many systems that can't cope with that. So where you have people on a 2-tier or 3-tier employment model, It's something to think about. When you're doing your core HR design, you really have to keep in mind where that data needs to go afterwards. And there are certain decisions you can make during that design phase that will make that life easier for you. So you've really got to kind of bear in mind the requirements you have and what you need for your HR processes, but also think about the downstream impact on that. And that's something that we certainly pay a lot of attention to in Epicenter, is that we always say, look, bring our integration people into your core HR design workshops. We don't need to be in every workshop, but bring our people in, because we can guide on this. We can say, okay, if you're thinking of going down this route, here's a couple of consequences you may not have thought about, or here's a couple of recommendations for how you can achieve that in a way that doesn't compromise what you're going to need to do with that data once it gets away from Oracle. So I'm really glad that someone mentioned that one. Over customization, I think that was with the target tools, but that can also apply to Oracle. There are some like payroll providers that provide some standard integrations. Over customizing kind of removes the ability to use those a little bit. So again, doing things how Oracle dictates is not necessarily a bad thing, and using the fields in the way that they're intended to be used. Error reporting, yeah, for sure. You get different error logs out of different systems. To an extent, you can't really avoid that. There's a couple of things that we do in Epicenter. One thing is we try and bring as much of the potential for error further back. So the more you can do in Oracle HCM itself to catch errors, like making fields mandatory or and so on, is a really simple example that are going to be mandatory for a downstream system. That's great. If you can't catch it in Oracle HCM, then we try and catch it in the interface itself, because that stops data going to the target system and erroring out. So we kind of pull records out that don't meet the minimum criteria. We let all the other records go, and we take this one record that has missing data, for example, and we'll provide that in an error report. So it's about being a little bit smarter with how we get the errors out, and that's something that we always bake into everything that we do. Missing documentation is a classic. So you find you have a payroll system that's been there for 15 years, but whoever designed it is long gone, and or whoever worked on it is long gone, and there's no documentation about it. So you don't know what the data model is and how it's going to go in. That's a pretty common one. It's always interesting and something you should try and avoid. Unfortunately, with that, there's not so much you can do about it, except to have good due diligence on that. Then the last one I'll pick up on is the RACI, roles and responsibilities. There are so many stakeholders in an integration project, and a lot of dependencies. So you have a dependency on the core HR work stream, the functional work stream there. You've got a dependency on a data migration or data quality stream. You've got a dependency on vendors, as I already mentioned about as well. So that RACI matrix is incredibly important. So I'm really happy that someone picked that one out. It's really important to set that out. So we have a kind of a standard RACI matrix, certainly, that we use, and it makes it really clear what we should do, but also where we have dependencies on maybe the Oracle HCM implementer. I mentioned before, we don't do that work. We always work alongside an SI. And so it's really important that we're clear on what we need from them, what we need from the payroll vendor, what we need from the local payroll teams or HR teams, what we need from central teams as well. Incredibly important thing to do, and it's a really important part of our methodology. And having that good methodology is something I'll touch on as we go. So, all right, so we've established a couple of things. Integration is important. Integration is also hard. So how do we succeed? Well, actually, Janice, already got there, which was, well, you need a Luca. So you need to have the right people with the appropriate years of experience. You need people that live integrations every day, that know all of the potential risks and know how to mitigate them. The truth is, coming back to that ski run in Italy and France, it's not that hard a ski descent. In terms of the steepness and the technicality, it's more like skiing a blue run in a resort, an intermediate run. You have a few weeks of experience, you could probably ski it. But it's the risks around it and the obstacles you face on the way that are the challenge. So if you have a good guide that knows how to navigate all of those, then it's actually something that an intermediate skier can do. You don't have to be an advanced skier. Can you still fall over? Yes. In fact, whisper it, but Luca fell over. And I'm also living proof that I've skied for a long time, but I still fall over almost every trip. Is it still difficult? Absolutely. Will you succeed? Almost certainly. And if I think about what we do here at Epicenter, our mission here is to be that guide through the integration minefield. It's a problematic stream. Frankly, it doesn't always get the attention it deserves either. There's always a lot of focus on other ones. We think about the integration stream, it's normally the last one on the status report. I admit I'm probably biased, but I would say the importance of integration is a little bit higher than that. There are a number of solution options out there, and you kind of need the right one for you. And that's where having the good guide that can guide you through the process is good. And that guide should also be able to guide you through things like data quality, things like methodology, things like the reliance you have on vendors. So how do we do this in Epicenter? Well, our track record, we've been doing this for about 6 or 7 years now, Epicenter, focusing pretty much exclusively on Oracle Cloud integrations. And our track record is pretty good by now. So we've deployed hundreds of interfaces, and we've really done this all over the world. So we're, as an organization, we're headquartered in Europe, but we have a pretty good presence in North America in terms of our client base, and indeed all across the world as well, in every continent. And we are processing really a hell of a lot of data every day on behalf of our customers. And what we really want to achieve with this is we want to take the companies that have low levels of integration, the ones that aren't 75% plus of their population integrated, and we want to bring them up to that level. And as I said before, most of our customers have struggled before coming to us. So how is it that they struggle somewhere else and they come to us and they succeed? Well, this is how we do it. This is our integration as a service, and I won't dwell too much on this. I'm also conscious of time, so I will rattle through this reasonably quickly. But we do this through 3 things, which is our software, consulting, and support. I'll touch on all 3 briefly, just so you know how we operate. But first of all, we just have the last poll, and this is a multiple selection poll. And I just want to get a feel for the people in the room. So what are you using to manage your integrations? Are you using Oracle Payroll Interface or HCM Extract? Are you using OIC? Are you using, do we have any Epicenter customers amongst us? And does anyone use the standard integrations? I already mentioned this before, I think, the standard integrations that the likes of ADP and Light offer. And we have people using any other integration platforms. Maybe the IT function frequently has integration layer somewhere, and they say, okay, HR, we'll go and use that, and you'll be able to use it. All right, let's see what we have here. All right, any more? All right, Oracle Integration Cloud and OPI HCM Extract seem to be the most popular ones there, and also a couple of few people using the standard ones also. Epicenter is well, we're a small organization growing, so I don't expect to see any of my customers on here. And this is pretty much exactly what we see out in the market as well, is that most of the customers that do come to us have previously tried to use the likes of OPI, HCM Extract, or OIC. So this is, it's an important aspect of the software program. Each has pros and cons, so I was just a little bit curious there. But there are some limitations with OPI, HCM Extract, Oracle Integration Cloud. And that's part of our simplification process, is that we use our own software. So we developed a few years ago now our own dedicated software platform called Fit for Cloud. Why did we do that? Pretty simply because nothing else that's available enabled us to fully meet the customer requirements that we had. It really is as simple as that. Now, it is our own software, but it is completely powered by Oracle. So it's built using all Oracle products, hosted on OCI as well. So it's effectively a bolt-on to Oracle Cloud. We do everything by configuration. And how do we do that? Well, why do we do that first? Because it's simpler to build, simpler to maintain. And the only reason we can do that is because of the smart features that we have designed and built into our software that take care of all the difficult parts. So I could take a long time explaining those, but I won't do that today. But all the difficult challenges that we found with integration, we bake that into our software, and that helps us with every other customer that we work with. Pre-built integrations. If we've built an integration to a system once, we can rebuild it again, and we can do it in a much quicker. It's proven, and we can also do that cheaper as well. This really makes sense to reuse what we've done before, even using test scripts, for example, saves a lot of time. And that even extends to partnerships. So we have partnerships with global payroll providers, for example, like ADP, like CloudPay, and that helps us provide standard integrations that actually work and go a little bit beyond what they can offer straight away out of the box. Data security. We mentioned data security as being one of the reasons for having integration, and that's something that, of course, we have built in. And it's the same level as data security that you'd see on Oracle HCM itself, as it's all hosted in the same way. Our people. We have a team of Lucas, basically. They've all been there and done it a number of times. We live and breathe payroll integration. That's what we do every day. So whatever challenge that you can think of, you can bet you that we've faced it before, and we know how to overcome those challenges. Couple that with our proven methodology. So having methodologies out of date or inconsistent was one item that was called out in one of the previous polls. And we know what works and we know what doesn't work, and by now that's there in our methodology. That helps us manage things like vendors, quality control at every stage, comprehensive testing approach, and also technical risk assessments. If we work with a new vendor for the first time, a new system, we conduct a risk assessment, and that helps us pick out things like complicated mapping, file formats. Is there any documentation for that target system, and how good is the quality of it? How that is something that we always assess upfront before we even start any design work. It gives us a head start, allows us to identify all the risks, and allows us to plan to mitigate them properly. So it's just all that experience, those years of experience shining through, and that really helps, and helps every single deployment that we do. And all of that helps us achieve a 100% success rate. Now, I'm very proud of that number, and I don't use it lightly, because anyone can claim a 100% success rate, but in this case, it's true. And I can tell you for a fact that before I joined Epicenter and the previous projects I was on, integration stream definitely was not on a 100% success rate. So we're very proud of that at Epicenter, and it really is a result of software and a result of how we approach our projects here. The last area of how we simplify HCM integration is that we believe that it's really a specialist skill set. Any SI can do it, but they don't specialize in it. They specialize in general Oracle HCM implementation. Internally, in your teams, you may have integration specialists, you may not, but it's very unlikely that it's really your core competency is HCM and payroll integration. So another huge reason behind why we think we can simplify this is because we can support your interfaces for you. The aim of this is to really take away all the hassle, and it removes the need for an expensive in-house tech team. So we have a global support desk that supports all the way, follow the sun from Asia all the way through to the Americas. To replicate that yourselves is quite a difficult and expensive thing. All of this, of course, is backed by an SLA. So anything that is there with the integration that's a problem with it, it's on us to resolve, because we're the ones that are supporting it and are responsible for its upkeep. Equally, when Oracle upgrades every quarter, we're assessing those upgrades for changes that can impact your interfaces. If anything is going to impact those interfaces, it's in our SLA that we will ensure your interface is kept up to date with those changes. That's really valuable, and our customers really value that, because it just means that's something they don't have to think about, don't have to worry about. We do that worrying for them, and we can take care of that for all of our customers, much easier as a collective group than all of our customers can one-to-one. Unpredictable costs was something that I mentioned, and it also popped up in the poll as well. We have predictable costs. We don't charge anything based on data usage or anything inconsistent like that. We have a flat subscription model purely based on complexity. So every month exactly how much your interfaces are going to cost you. No data charges. We don't charge you extra if you run the interface 12 times a day or 1 time a day. It doesn't really make any difference to us. It's all purely based on the complexity of the interface and nothing else. So it's incredibly predictable. These are all things that that our customers have experienced difficulty with, and we want to make it easier for them. And all of that really leads to what we want, which is peace of mind for our customers. You know, I've been in situations where it's been stressful with integrations, and maybe some of you also going through something similar, and in which case having that peace of mind, I think, is incredibly valuable. Now, I've spoken for a bit longer than I was going to, but I'm just going to quickly rattle through a couple of customer success examples. You know, we have customers in a few different scenarios that just illustrate some of these points that I've made in the course of the last sort of 40 minutes. And this is a great example of a customer buying a system. Now, it's OIC in this case, but it could equally apply to another integration framework. And they spent several months building that integration framework out to be able to meet their requirements. Now, our software already had the functionality they needed. They couldn't get OIC to work and to do what they needed it to do successfully. They'd already spent a lot of money on it. They came to us and we could do everything they needed without any additional development. And now they're successfully live across the globe on a number of payroll integrations. And I think the final wave with that client is going live very, very soon. Another example here is another customer of ours that has Oracle HCM Cloud, and they have a single global payroll provider. The standard integration is available, but there are gaps in that integration where some data points aren't taken. There's a bit of inflexibility where in terms of using flex fields for some data points. And so it would have left a lot of potential manual data entry in order to keep payroll connected. So because we were able to offer a more thorough integration solution, reduces the amount of manual data entry, and therefore it increases the return on investment that they can get from their integration investment. And indeed, it helps with that adoption of Oracle HCM Cloud, the ROI on Oracle HCM Cloud itself as well. Then another one here, which is a customer that has SAP and Oracle, which is way more common than I thought it was, I have to say, before being in this in Epicenter. They wanted to integrate from Oracle to SAP, and that's being used as an ERP around the world. They had to switch that interface off after 2 weeks because it was just causing so many errors, error after error after error in SAP. HR came back and said, you know what, it's much easier if we just manually enter the data. It doesn't work. Okay, so Epicenter were asked to redeploy that. And they using the technology and expertise that Epicenter has, that was redeployed a few months later. It was successful. And then that SAP interface was then rolled out globally, and then alongside a bunch of other integrations, ERP, payroll, and many others as well. So this kind of goes to show there's a lot of these challenges out there. Doesn't mean that everyone has those challenges, but a lot of people do. And if those challenges do resonate, then that's where you need that guide and you need that expertise. So just to recap, and then we'll jump onto some questions, is that integration is critical, but there is a clear barrier to success. We can see that from the poll results, that maybe we're not all where we want to be in terms of our levels of automated integration. And automated really is the key word here. And there's lots of half integration solutions out there, but really I think we're interested in fully automated here. There's a large number of obstacles to the integration process and to making it successful, but with the right guide and the right people supporting you, these can be avoided. We certainly have a proven blueprint to simplify and succeed that. You know, my main thing is that I want you guys to take away from this that how you can make this successful. If that's ever with us, of course I'm delighted. But whatever you do, hopefully you can take a few things away from this session today, and take that into your own projects, and it's given you some food for thought. So with that, we do have a bit of time left. We've got about 10 minutes, so I will throw back to Janice, and maybe we have some questions. Janice, over to you.
All right, thank you, David. I'm not seeing any questions yet. If you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the Q&A. But you were so incredibly clear. We may not have any.
It can be about integration. It can be about skiing. It can be about passport control, or whatever you like. I know some good pizza restaurants in Courmayeur.
Well, it looks like we don't have. Oh, here's someone who has a question in the chat. Which technology do you use for error handling and feedback to the end user?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you. Oh, the actual technology, it's a good question. We use our own software. So Fit for Cloud is the name of our software platform, and we use that for error handling. So we're able to generate those the error reports out, and we translate that into a report that's usable for people. So rather than it being a technical error log, we're able to distribute error reports to the relevant people. So for example, if there's data missing for a new hire, we pull them out of the interface, we send everyone else, we pull this person out, we say, okay, well, you hired this person called David. David is missing these three key pieces of information, and HR will get that information, and they're able to then go and make that update. And when the next time the interface runs, if we have that data, it will send it. If not, again, we send the error reports there as well. So all that's built into our own software. So it's a report, not a screen integrated on Oracle. Correct. It's not integrated into Oracle HCM where you can see it. This is a separate tool. It's kind of bolted onto Oracle HCM, but it's not visible in, like, it's not there popping up in the hiring screen, for example, unless you have that validation built into Oracle HCM itself.
I see Tracy raised a hand. If you would like to speak, Tracy, to ask a question, just let me know in the chat. Okay, I think we have no other questions.
All right. Well, if not, I'm going to thank you all very much for attending. It's a real pleasure to speak to you today. Integration's a bit of a niche topic, but I guess if you attended today, it's something that's on your mind and interesting. So like I say, I hope you were able to take something away from it. If you would like to find out a bit more about Epicenter, you can visit our website. This will all be in the pack that's shared afterwards as well. You can follow us on LinkedIn, and you can even connect with me on LinkedIn as well. So thank you very much. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your afternoons, and I'll hand you back to Janice to close out.
All right. Thank you so much, David. And the replay will be available very, very shortly, probably by this afternoon. And if you are an OHUG member, or if you're not, you need a discount code, just let me know at info@ohug.org. We'd love to see you in Las Vegas in June. Thank you so much.
And I'll hopefully see you there.